What I'm saying is, when you want to do some post configuration changes, it can be a simple monitoring agent, or it can be a complex script which I want to execute. Okay. When I want to do those things, there is something called as custom extensions.
What you doing?
Okay.
The custom extensions will help you to add additional things as required. It can be a simple, small PowerShell script, or it can be complex post configuration change.
Yep.
Okay. There are some default custom extensions available, and there is also something called as scripts. You can also share it. You can also share the script. Okay. We'll try to do some scripting as a part of the lab. We'll try to create the VM. Plus, we would like to install IIS on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay. This is I want to do as a part of the build directly.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back and do that. So for installing the IIS, we need to write the PowerShell script. The script should be add Windows feature web-server. You can save this small script as a PowerShell file. You can use that as a input file. Okay.
Okay.
Let me do that. Let's go to build a VM.
So are we going to use the same VM we used yesterday? Or?
I'm building a new.
Are you building a new VM?
This is a post install script as a part of the VM build, not afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. Adding to the same resource group like yesterday. Okay, I'm creating VM number 2 in the East US2. Okay, with the Windows Server 2012 R2 with some size, username and password. All the ports, RDP. You can also allow additional ports as required.
Yeah.
And I'm not using the hybrid license model. I'm going with the standard HTTP. Okay. I'm skipping networking. I'm skipping management.
Yeah.
And in the advanced, there is something called as extensions.
Right. Yeah.
Just a minute. Okay. In the extensions,
This conference will now be recorded.
I don't get to the vegetable.
you have the option to add the extensions. Click on the select extension install.
Yeah.
So you have extensions which are available. So when you see them, there is Actions Backup, Microsoft Anti-Malware, Chef extension, Control M Agent. You can add these extensions. Okay, it's a big list. So if you don't want any of this default, you want to have your custom script, I can add the custom script extension.
Right.
Okay. And I can create a PowerShell script. Create. And add the PowerShell script as a file. Browse.
Yeah.
I have a file already created. View the file.
Yes.
Okay. The IIS file. And I'm trying to view the file. I just save this command into the PowerShell file. Okay.
What does this command does in the PowerShell?
It does the installation of IIS.
Installation of IIS.
Yes, web server.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say okay. Say next and complete the installation. So this will install a Windows Server plus IIS on the machine. Let's see how the things are working. Okay. If it is that is well and good. If there is failed, I need to understand still what is failed.
Yeah.
No.
So let's verify the logs. So yesterday night they changed the icons.
Okay.
So if you see, the icons are glossy icons today.
Yeah.
So this used to be the old icon. This is the new icon.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know what you meant. Have to go now.
Hot. God.
I'll make you take.
God.
What will you want me to give to you?
No, it's hot.
Oh, it's really hard. Oh. Okay.
It's
Send
hot.
that. English. I'll break your tooth.
It's not good for your teeth, right?
No, that was not good.
Yeah.
Just like eat the orange one. Everything else leave to dad to eat. Can't eat carrot or coconut now.
Yeah, Tina, तुला खांसी जाएगी, please. Don't have that. Coconut.
Have this orange one. That's it. That's it. Everything else not allowed when you're usually not well. Yeah? Leave it for dad. No, don't. It's not good for you. It's too hard. Yeah, that's it. Tom. That's it, man. Don't eat anything else. This is not good for you.
Go ahead and brush your teeth.
Eat that and that's it. Maybe. Alright, if it's hard, don't eat it.
No.
Team, leave it on the table.
No.
This one is taking longer because it's installing the
It's
OS as well as
Next one. Okay.
running. Yeah.
So log into the VM.
That's public IP.
Sorry.
Yeah, you log on to the VM with public IP. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Ryan. Can't move on. Can't sit here, Ryan. Drink water now, you're done. You're gonna have bad shishi. So finish that cup and we're gonna brush our teeth and go to sleep. I mean, what happened to your leg? Why is it like that? Here? Come on.
Verify this one.
Hurry up.
Mom, wait. I haven't finished. Can I come with my car?
Leave it out there.
the IIS not available yet. So if you want to check that whether the installation is successful or failure, there is a folder called C:\Windows Azure.
Yeah.
Okay, when you log into the folder, you'll see the log file. Logs, plugins, custom script extension plugin 1.9.5, and you see the custom script handler log. So this log will give you the information what is the thing is running. So when you see this one,
Okay.
you can see that there's IIS.ps1 PowerShell file, and it is waiting for the completion.
Yeah.
Let's wait.
Where is that? Let me just.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna get the write down the path to to logs, Azure logs.
Let's wait for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the command exited with the code 0. 0 means successful.
Okay.
So the IIS has been installed. When you go back to the C drive, you can see the IIS got installed on this machine. Okay, so when you can browse the web page, local web page. Just with me, local. Okay. So you can activate or I can do any post activities using the custom script extensions or the extensions.
Yeah.
Okay. You can see the extensions which are created here in this place. You can see the extensions.
Yeah.
It's not completely yet. You can go back to the running extensions. You should be able to see the extensions here after some time.
So these are all the extensions available on the VM to add.
These are the extensions which are enabled on the machine.
Or which we enabled on the machine. Okay.
Okay, you can add them as required again.
Yeah.
Okay. I can install additional extensions as required. Okay. When I go back to extensions now, I can see the custom script extension which has been we just used.
Yeah.
With the file.
This is the one for IIS, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one in progress. It will also come after. Okay. Now I want to make this a web page. It's a web page available from internet.
Okay.
I have a public. I want to open this port from internet. Okay. Additionally, I can go back to networking and add the port along with the RDP. I can add the port HTTP. So one more rule.
So you just need to give them HTTP access to their IP address, isn't it? And that would be broadcast on the internet.
Yes, it's already broadcast on the internet. Okay, I'm just allowing the port to work.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm allowing the port.
Yeah. Port 80.
Some port number 80 from anywhere. So that way I can access that page over internet if required. That's IP address. created. You can browse that IP from internet with the web page. Right?
Yeah.
So with less than 10 minutes, I have a publicly facing website available with the public IP address.
Yeah.
Okay. So the system will be removed with the IP address when it is powered off automatically. So when you see this VM1, there is no public IP.
Yeah.
So the IPs, public IPs will be available only during the powering on and powering of the machine, between the power on and power off.
Okay.
Okay. It will be released to the pool.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want a permanent public IP address, if you want a
Yeah.
permanent public IP address, you can make the reservation. Go back to the public IP addresses
Mm-hmm.
and you can select the IP and make that static IP. So currently
Yeah.
that IP is the dynamic IP. Go to configuration. You can see that's the dynamic one. When you make it static,
Yeah.
that will be reserved permanently.
Okay.
Okay, that IP will be reserved permanently for your account, but that will be charged additionally. The static IPs are charged additionally.
How often does the dynamic IP changes? The DSCP scope, the range, how often does it change? In the DSCP lease.
Private IP will be same.
No, no private. I mean public IP when it's dynamic.
Public
How
IP will
often does
change
it change?
every time. When you start, it will change.
It will change. Okay. Okay.
Every time you stop, it will change.
Oh, okay.
Because it is from the pool. It's not reserved for your account or you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you want a permanent IP, then it should go for a static IP.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you should not be using the dynamic IP. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the static IPs are charged additionally, and each account has some 5 IPs of static public IPs are limited. Each subscription.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can have 5 IPs per subscription. That's the soft limits. If you want, you can just ask for the increase in the limits. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not doing static IP. The public IP address. I'm just saying public IP address here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So any questions in this one? Any queries? Any queries? Liaquat?
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
Okay. Now let's see the sizes. Okay, yesterday we skipped this one because of a lot of theory. So when we're trying to choose a VM, okay, there is a system size, which is, when you see this current size, it is DS1V2, okay, which is giving you 1 CPU and 3.5 GB memory.
Okay.
Okay, 1 virtual CPU and 3.5 GB memory. So there are around 200 plus sizes in the Azure.
200 plus sizes. Okay.
Yeah, we're having around 200 plus sizes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can add the filters and you can filter it out. If I don't do any filtering, by default there are around 200 plus sizes. So when you're trying to create a VM,
Mm-hmm.
when I remove all filters, I'm having around 249 VM sizes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're having 249 combinations of systems you can choose as required. Memory CPU combinations. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but on a higher level, they are divided into some families. Okay, add a filter on the family. and you can see the filters. There are majorly 6 different types of families. General purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, storage optimized, GPU based instances, and the high performance compute. So these are the 6 categories. So in the general purpose, the memory and CPU are balanced. So 1 CPU, 2 GB memory, 2 CPU, 4 GB memory.
Okay.
The memory
is normally twice the size of the
Sorry?
CPU.
No, it's balanced. They do generally balanced.
Right.
Okay, there is not double or triple. They have a balanced way. Okay. Whereas in the high optimized, more compute, more memory, more storage. The 3 below. Okay, memory will be more compared to CPU. CPU will be more compared to memory. Storage will be more compared to memory CPU. Okay. Then GPU has the graphical processing capacity, graphical cards attached to the system. And the high performance compute are the ultimate last one, which has more memory, more CPUs. Okay, 1680 GB memory. Okay, 2000 GB memory. Okay, they are high performance compute.
Yeah.
Okay, and in this one, there are 2 different types of offering: basic and standard. Okay, basic is more or less like a retired one. There is only standard now. So basic and standard, the difference is basic doesn't support HA.
Doesn't support
Means
what? Sorry?
Load balancers.
I can't hear you. Doesn't support what?
Load balancers.
Oh, okay.
Standard supports everything. So basic doesn't support high availabilities like Jones, sets, anything.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see only 3-4 basics, remaining all are standard. So basic they stop mostly, except 3-4 systems are there in the basic model again. Okay, just 5. A0 to A4, remaining all are standard. Okay. Then the memory in the cloud is measured in the GIB, not GBs.
Right.
GIB stands for GB bytes.
GB bytes.
Okay, which is 1.07 GB, a little higher than the GB.
Okay.
Okay. So all the cloud, irrespective of Azure, AWS, everything, they measure in the GIB, not GBs. Okay, so the cost of the VM is also based on the memory, CPU, and the disk, what is coming as a part of the overall cost. You can see the cost.
Yeah.
This is the monthly cost, roughly estimated at 750 hours in a month. So in a month, average you have 750 hours. If you use the entire 750 hours, that's the cost of the VM. And as I said, every billing will be on per second billing. So if you stop after 10 minutes, you will be only paying for 10 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
Now coming to the high availability options. So there are 2 different types of options. One is called as availability set, and second one is called as availability zone. What is this? Why required? For the single VMs, in Azure, there is no SLA guarantee from Microsoft.
Okay.
So there is no SLA guarantee from Microsoft unless until they are using premium storage. Unless until they are using premium storage. So in the disk, when we go onto the disk, we selected some standard and this thing, right? So unless until it's a premium, there is no SLA guarantee. Standard HDD and standard doesn't have any SLA guarantee.
Okay.
Only premium disk, when they are on a single VM, there is a SLA guarantee of 99.9%. So if you want to have a 99.9599%, there is no SLA guarantee from Microsoft on a single VMs.
Right.
Okay. They should have something called as availability set or availability zone. Okay. So sets are older method and are available across 54 regions.
Right.
Okay. Whereas the zone are very newer. hardly 6 months old. They're available in 10 plus regions of time. So zones, yesterday we discussed, they are closely placed locations in the single region.
Yep.
Okay, whereas the set are, they don't have any classification, but when you keep two VMs in a set, they make sure that they're in the two different hardwares, two different power sockets, two different things, so that they don't fail at a single point of time.
Okay.
So that's separation. Whereas this is a completely isolated one. So Microsoft is making sure that the two VMs which you keep in a set are not in the same power, same rack, same thing.
Yep.
Okay, that's a set, and the next one is zone. So zone is the latest concept. They're migrating all the 54 regions to zones, so that they can go or remove availability sets going forward.
Oh, okay. But what would be the difference between set and zone? Once they move set, everything.
Zones are more like a isolation completely defined, whereas set they need to isolate the place during the placement.
Right.
So in the zones they defined this is zone number 1, this is zone number 2. In the set they have not defined. Based on the number of VMs you choose, they place in the data centers at the random locations so that they are isolated.
Oh, okay. But zones are more defined.
More defined.
Sure.
So this this is from here to here. So it's easy for them in the zones compared to sets.
Yeah.
So sets are dynamic. So zones are static. So you can define the zone number 1 where you want to place. Whereas a set, you don't have the control where it is going to be located. Okay. So they're moving from the sets to zones. But both are available currently in all the 54 regions. Set is there, zone is there in the 10 plus regions.
Yeah.
Okay. Go back to the EastUS2. You will see HA options with zone or set.
Zone or set, yeah.
On the zone, you have the zone number 1, 2, 3. When you click on the set, name, set name.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, there is no difference between zone and both will support high availability. Okay. Set is the older name and zone is the newer number.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I want to create a web application with a HA and with load balancing, so that it will go to the available VM based on the availability of the VMs.
Yeah.
I want to build a web server with a high availability with load balancing, because I can't ask user to go to VM 1 when it is working, not working, go to VM number 2. It should be automated.
All right. So creating a web server with high availability and load balancing, yeah?
Yes. Okay. What we can complete today, but let's see it out. So I don't have these two VMs. Let me remove them. So if you want to remove the VMs, okay, if I delete from here, okay, it only delete the VM name. It doesn't delete the associated resources like IP address, disk. It doesn't. Okay. When you go back to resource groups, the logical name, okay, and the aged 6, you can see all the related resources for the aged.
And you remove it from there.
Yeah, if I remove from here, it will go off everything. So these are all VM1 related.
From the resource group, okay.
Yes, I can select them and I can delete only those things. Okay, yes. If I don't want the entire thing, I can delete the entire resource group.
Oh, okay.
So that it will delete all these things.
Yep.
Okay, I don't want anything. I'm just deleting them both. Now let's go back and try to create a new set. Okay, I'll be using availability zones. Okay, add a VM.
Add a new VM.
Okay, I'm creating a new resource group. VM1 is US2 the zone number 1 and in the Windows Server 20R2.
Yeah.
I'm choosing the CPU, 1 CPU and 3.5 GB memory. I'm just leaving that. And password. Allow the ports. I'm allowing the port RDP and HTTP.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to build a web server. I'm directly allowing it now.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the standard disk. I don't want premium because I'm setting it HA. I'm doing the network defaults, management defaults. I'm adding the extension, custom script extension.
Yeah.
And add the IIS file.
IIS in there.
Okay. And I can create this one. Okay. I can create this one. I can also download this as a template file so that I can repeat this one without any options again. So that template can also be downloaded.
Oh.
So
So you can use it as a template to build
ARM.
another to build another web server with the same specification.
Yes, I can do that. That's the code.
Yeah.
So the variables, parameters, selected all those things automatically. So I can take this template or add to my library.
Okay.
Okay, so that can also be done. This template is called as ARM template, Azure Resource Manager template.
Yeah.
Okay, alternately I can just build it. Currently I'm not interested. Let me build it. Let's repeat the process for the second VM.
Yeah.
Let it complete. So AZ6 mostly gone. It's still deleting.
Yep.
Okay, mostly done. So the icons are good to see. Okay, the VM1 in progress. Okay, let me build the VM2 also. Okay, add.
Okay.
Same resource group.
7. Yeah.
VM2 is US2. Infrastructure redundancy zone.
Availability zone. Same zone 2.
No, I'm creating zone number 2 so that even one zone is down, the VM in the other zone is available.
Oh, okay. But the previous one was in zone 1 or zone 2?
Zone 1.
I was in zone 1. Okay.
Okay. 24R2. The CPU and memory with username password with the ports RDP and HTTP. Standard disk. I'm leaving the defaults for remaining.
Is that how simple it is to do in a real environment?
We are doing only one thing right now. Okay.
Okay.
We are doing one step. Now in the real environment, I need to go to each tab.
Yeah.
So disk tab, then storage tab, network tab. Okay, we are doing one step. So I covered the basics. Now we're covering the management tab part. So tomorrow we'll cover the next part, disk part. Okay, so we have skipped the disk networking management. We're covering the advanced and basics today.
Okay.
So these 3 are another 3 sessions.
Yeah.
Okay. And create your So I have two VMs in two zones, which are identical to each other.
Yep.
So the VM1, it is in the zone number 1.
Yep.
Okay. And the VM2 is in the zone number 2. So let's wait. Now I can't go to each machine individually. I need to have a load balancer.
Yeah.
So the load balancers, there are two different types of load balancers, or two different categories. One is called as standard load balancer.
Yeah.
And second one is basic load balancer.
Load balancer.
Okay. Basic load balancer will work with availability set, and standard load balancer will work with availability zone.
Okay. Standard
will work with the zone, and basic will work with the set.
Okay.
So the set one is free; it's not charged additionally. Zone one is an additional charge.
Yeah.
Okay. So initially they given the availability set based load balancer for free because that's a problem with them. Okay. Now they also moved into the costing model with the zones. Okay. Now in the load balancer there are multiple concepts. The front end IP. So the IP which is visible to the front end is a front end IP. That's a public IP. You have the load balancer type, internal or internet, or internal or public. If it's internal, it will only work within the Azure.
Yep.
Okay. And you have the public, whether you want public based load balancer or internal load balancer, you can choose that. Then you have the backend, or the backend servers you want to add. So because I may be having 10 servers, but I may be having 2 servers to the pool. I can create the backend pool. And the health rules. How can we make sure that systems are up and running? Both the systems are 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. Okay,
Yep.
we can define the rules. We can define based on the port, that's a TCP or HTTP or yes. Okay, in the TCP I can simply check the port number. Port is working, system is working. Okay,
Yep.
when in the HTTP I can also check the page directly, HTTP page. In the HTTPS I can check the page along with the port.
Yep.
Okay, so whether you want only TCP based check or HTTP checks based on the pages what you are creating, then I can define the load balancer rule with all these things: your front end port, front end IP / port, backend pool with port and health rule. I can combine all these things and create my load balancer rule.
Okay.
So let's start creating the load balancer, standard load balancer. Okay, so
Yep.
they'll come. The systems will create. They're working still. Okay, both are working. I can check them individually. Let's verify that both are working or not. So this IP address, that is working. Let's go to the second one. Okay, that's not yet working. Let's give it a minute. Okay, let's create the load balancer. We'll come back because it's just built. It's still creating the IAs.
Yeah.
Okay, you have balancers, and you can create a new load balancer. So create load balancer.
So this load balance is another service, isn't it? Azure service.
Yes.
That you apply. Okay.
So into the same resource group, I'm giving the load balancer LB1, and I'm creating in the same region VMs, East US2, and I'm making public load balancer and standard load balancer.
Yep.
Public and standard. I'm creating new public IP, LB1 IP, and I'm keeping that zone redundant, means it can go to any zone. If I make within the zone, it will only load balance within systems in the zone. If I make zone redundant, I can load zone 1, zone 2, zone 3.
Yeah.
Okay, and create my load balance. So this is not yet completed. The page still not loaded. So load balance has been created. Let's wait a minute. Progress. load balancers. Okay, as a load balancer. So click on the load balancer and add the backend pool. The front end IP is there, public IP. Add the backend pool. Okay, I'm adding the backend pool. I'm setting my network, which is having VM number 1 and the IP address number 1, VM number 2, and IP address number 2.
Oh, okay. So you adding both those VMs in the
yes, VM1 and VM2 to my backend pool.
Yeah.
So both the systems are getting with the IIS web page now. Okay.
Because they're in the same resource group, those VMs will be available for you to add, isn't it?
They are in the same network.
Oh, is that
like
why? Because in the same network.
Okay, we have not covered the network part, but they are in the same network by default. When you create in the same resource, they go to same network part by default. We'll discuss during the network how it's going. Okay, for the time being, understand due to resource group they're going, but network part is controllable.
Right.
Okay, so let's wait for them to come up. So that's a backend pool with both the VMs. I can see VM number 1 and VM number 2, which is added to the same resource group. Okay, 3.4 and 3.5. As I said, they're in the same network, so I was able to.
Yeah.
Okay, then define the health probe. So how can you make sure that systems are running? I want to check based on the port number. So port check, I can do TCP or HTTPS. So if it's TCP, you get only port number. Okay, if it is HTTP, along with the port, you can also give the path page which you want to check. Okay, HTTPS along with the port, I can also do the path. My page, let's say index page, okay, or logon page, I can check that. Here I don't have any pages, I'm doing the simple port check. Okay, I'm saying that if port 80 is reachable on the system, then the system is working.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm checking every 5 seconds. And I'm doing a threshold 2 intervals. Means 2 into 5 seconds, I'm waiting for 2 unhealthy thresholds. After that, I'll mark it as unhealthy.
Right.
Okay, so you can increase the number as required. If it is not critical, you can just increase the numbers. And say, okay, that's my health rule. So combining front-end IP, backend pool along with health probe, that's a load balancing rule. So add a load balancing rule, LB rule, the front-end IP, the front-end port, the backend port, backend pool, and the health probe. I'm combining all these things and creating my load balancing rule. So the couple of options. The first one is the session persistence. So this means based on the client IP, it will go to same backend system as long as it is available.
Okay.
So if your client is browsing, as long as his IP doesn't change, it will go to same backend system. That is called as session persistence. Why it is required? So if you're doing a transaction, complete transaction, let's say a credit card transaction.
Yep.
Okay, I should not be switching server number 1, server number 2. So I use the session persistence based on the client IPs. Okay, if it's simple browsing, I don't need to keep any persistence. I can go to any server which is available. Okay, I can swap between the minutes, seconds also as required. Okay, so based on the type of page you are having, you can define the persistence yes or no. Okay, in my case, I don't require because these are random web pages.
Yeah.
Okay, and the idle time mode. If the page browse for 4 minutes, that will be timed out. Okay, and you have third option, floating IP direct server return. So this is useful when you are writing the data to the application. For example, I have a SQL server, a SQL always on. Okay, SQL always on does automatic data replication, primary to secondary. Okay, I should always connect to the direct server. I should not be connecting to both servers as required because only one will be available at any point of time. So in those cases, I enable the direct IP so that I will get the server IP directly without virtual IP. Okay, in those cases, I can use the floating IP. Here I don't require because that's my random web page. Okay, and say okay. So using all defining the load balancing rule. When I go back, I can take this public IP and I should be able to browse the public IP, which will go to one of the server in the backend. Right?
All right. Okay.
So I have built a system with high available. So because one of the system will be always available, and I have distributed using a load balancing public IP.
Yep.
My both systems are identical, so it will go to one of the system in the backend. Okay, if the one of the system is down, it will only go to other system in the backend. So just for our lab convenience, okay, I'll make a small change in the page. Okay, so to understand where it is going, okay, let me log into VM1 and make the page change. I'm logging to VM number 1.
1566.
VM number 1. So this is not VM IP, that's the load balance IP. So when you go back to networking, you'll see the VM IP. That's the VM IP. That IP.
Okay. Link public.
Forty 67 138 23. Okay.
While you log on, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Funny, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah?
Yes, that's fine.
Sorry, can you hear me, Funny?
I can.
Yeah, I'll be back in 2 minutes while you're logging on, yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I created a small page, index.html. Let me refresh the server. Okay. So that's the first server and that's the second server. Now go back to load balancer. It's going to first server. Okay, it's going to second server.
Sorry, repeat that again. What have you done? Sorry.
I just created one small test page.
How do you create that?
I just created the index.html file on
Right,
the
okay.
root. Okay, this is a IS file folder. I created a file index.html with this content. When I open this file, I created with this same simple content, a HTML file.
Yep.
Okay. So that I understand which server it is going to, the load balancer. So it's on the server number 2. It's going to server number 2 now. Okay. So let me power off the server number 2 and let's verify.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to servers and power off the server number 2. Overview and stop the system. So server number 2 is off. Now when I refresh this one, it will automatically go to server number 1. So service is available, doing the health check. So it will be 5 seconds, 10 seconds it will be delayed.
Gone to server. Okay.
It's distributing the load plus it's checking whichever is healthy, it's going there.
Yep.
So you have your application in the high availability model with 2 VMs running and your content is ready. So now this is the place where the DevOps comes into picture. So I need to roll out the code to all the systems in the cluster, the load balancer. So system 1, system 2, I need to roll out the code whenever there is a change. Okay, and I want to keep them identical as possible, correct? I can't keep them distinct. They are serving the same purpose. So when the cluster is more, it is difficult to manage them manually. That's where the DevOps suite come into picture to deploy the code to the systems as required at runtime.
Okay.
Okay. That's the load balancing along with the high availability feature using availability zone.
Yep.
So 3 concepts we discussed: custom scripts, custom script extension, high availability zone, and the load balancer, which is a standard load balancer. Okay, these are the 3 concepts which we discussed today.